Okay, ready to see it?
Yep.
All right.
Ooh.
What do you think?
It's small. It's like a big toaster, but it looks amazing. Like, I don't know how you'd walk into the room and not be drawn to this and wonder, hey, what is that? That's really cool.
It's designed to be something that you're going to put out on your table. I mean, this is essentially tech jewelry.
A lot of projectors, they're designed to just blend into the ceiling, right? But this is designed to be set out and it'll look amazing. It's amazing that they have this much tech crammed into a little box. It's surprising that this can do what they claim it can do in such a small package, which is exciting.
Okay, want to see it?
Yeah. For the record, Brad just plugged the power cable into the Toslink, and the projector did not power up.
All right.
This was a trend that surprised me, but it's become really common, is just like TVs, projectors now have Google TV or Roku built in.
Watch the screen here.
A lot of the short throw projectors auto calibrate and size and do a lot of the work for you, so I'm guessing.
And you guessed well. Now it is going to find everything for us here.
It's interesting because it's very different than a traditional keystone, but fascinating. So there you go, that's pretty cool. It tells you, hey, we hit the boundary. And then you can adjust your projector, so we could slide it to the left just a touch.
The manual keystone for a little bit of finer adjustment.
It also have feet on the bottom that we can use just to help level it.
Yeah.
That would have fixed a lot of that.
That's a great point. It's always better to start with making sure everything is level and as close to the screen as you can get, because that's going to give you the best picture quality. Go over to settings. In Projector, we can come in here and do, I'm going to switch it to filmmaker mode.
Okay.
Which is going to give us exactly what the filmmaker intended, so there's no fiddling with any of the other settings, and you get the most pure look.
It's funny, you could tell a difference the second you kicked on filmmaker. Wow.
Yes.
It's fun to review the specs to see what's really legit.
All right, walk us through the specs.
So some of the specs that are really cool is it's got the Google TV built in. It's nice because all these apps now are calibrated for the projector, so they're going to work better than if I plugged in a external Google TV. The triple laser, that's a really big deal.
It's amazing.
To have 3 dedicated lasers, a red, a blue, and a green, that create the lights that we're seeing and the colors. It gives them the ability to have a lot more accuracy, and it's why we get good, vibrant colors. Dolby Vision, I honestly was surprised by that. Dolby Vision is huge. Typically, to get Dolby Vision to work on a TV well, you're spending $3,000. So to get Dolby Vision on a projector is unheard of, and none of the major manufacturers currently support Dolby Vision. So this was a lot of fun to see. There's a couple other things. The ISF, that's huge. Apple AirPlay built in, that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
Apple HomeKit's nice. You can use the app on your phone to control it when you sync it up. This is pretty cool. It's showing that it can go from a 100-inch screen to a 300-inch screen. Now we're watching it on a 120-inch, and I think we saw it up to about 130-inch, and it was plenty bright. So I have no doubt that you could watch this up to about 200 inches and be satisfied. You could go to 300 inches. You'll notice it's not a movie theater, but it's still doable, which is exciting. That's cool because it's a portable projector. So for a family party or to just take it into the other room, it gives you a lot of versatility. And then this is really cool. This kind of ties into the RGB triple laser, but it is 110% of Rec 2020. And Rec 2020 is the color space. So you hear about things like, DC3 and Rec 709. And the way I like to think about it is it's kind of like when you go and you buy your box of crayons at the store. You can have your 8 color pack, your 64 color pack, your 128 color pack. The more colors in the crayon box, the more elaborate your artwork can be, right? Rec 2020 is the ultimate amount of colors. So this is what allows us to have fire engine red, and this is what allows us to have bright, vibrant purples and blues, and those colors that we don't see on a TV or on a screen because most things haven't been able to reproduce it. So having the Rec 2020 and having the full, most things will say, I have Rec 2020, it's marketing lingo. And then you read the fine print and it's like, we have 80% of Rec 2020. Yeah, that's called Rec 709. That's from the HD TV times, right?
And how much does this one have?
110%.
That's
so
amazing.
it meets and exceeds the Rec 2020 standard.
Why is Rec 2020 an important feature for a projector?
Rec 2020 is cool because when they first came out with video back in the day, they came up with these standards and they kind of guessed. They said, hey, here are some colors that we should be able to hit, but none of it was a scientific standard or method. So they set these standards that was a high-end standard 10 years ago when I went through training. Nothing was doing Rec 2020. But all the colors, it was like, we want Ferrari red. We want this bright, vibrant blue. And it was all colors that were real colors that we could reproduce in a laboratory. So this was like the highest in standard that they could perceive as reaching in the near future for color reproduction. So here 10 years later, how fun is it to see things that are now not just 80% or 90% or 99%. There's a lot of 95s and 99. This is 110%, which is really cool.
And you see the difference.
Yeah.
You see the difference.
You do. It's like the first time you see a Ferrari that's the Ferrari red,
Yes.
you realize that is a cool color.
Yeah.
It's like Coke red.
It's special.
Coke red is such a cool color, but you just don't see it on screen until more recently when we have this technology that can reproduce those colors. And that's exciting.
Yeah, I agree. So I've had more time with this. And so I've been looking at it during the day, looking at it at night. And one of the things that stood out to me was color accuracy. Like it, particularly in filmmaker mode, like it is really, the colors don't feel oversaturated or lacking. It just looks good. And then I was astonished by Dolby Vision, by the HDR. It's uncommon to see a projector that can really has the brightness and the contrast and the black levels to pull that off. What did you think?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we, as you know, for a lot of customers, when we put a projector in, we either limit or turn off the HDR.
Yeah.
Because it causes them questions and concerns, and unless the setup is just perfect, it can cause issues. But where this has the media player built in, that already overcomes a lot of those concerns.
And by that you mean the Google.
Yeah, the Google Home is
TV
built in, so it's already calibrated and works with the projector, which is great. That helps alleviate a lot of those HDR problems you run into. But then the second thing about it is it's got the brightness, and it actually has Dolby Vision. There is no home theater projector. None of the major brands have Dolby Vision. And a projector, probably under 30, 50 grand. I've not seen it. It's a commercial theater or TV product.
Yeah. If you want that, you're going to have to go to like an ultra high end where you're going to be upper five figures, even into six figures to make that happen.
Yeah. And there are some no-name brand projectors out there that claim they have Dolby Vision. And I've not vetted that to see if they do or don't. But there's a lot of TVs I can go out and buy that say they have HDR or Dolby Vision, but it's marketing. They enable it so they can say they can. And if you turn it on, you won't like the TV. So you turn it off. So, but this actually looks good with HDR content and the HDR turned on. So it's exciting for someone who enjoys projection and enjoys, film, to be able to have that as an option and a viable option is really cool.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was astonishing the quality because I didn't expect it. For the reasons that you pointed out, when a brand says, even on a TV, if you're like, it's got HDR, or it's got Dolby Vision. I mean, that is a high bar to make, and they often fall short. Yeah. And this, there's nothing in this price point that can actually deliver Dolby Vision like that.
Yeah. I mean, someone can show up and say, hey, I play basketball. It doesn't mean they can win a game.
Right.
That's the way it is with Dolby Vision. It's like, hey, I can bounce the ball, but I can't get it in the hoop, right?
Yeah.
So with this, it's fun because they have the product and it, like you say, it's a viable solution. But the other things you talked about too is the colors were fun.
And they were accurate.
They were accurate. And there was, both you and I talked about that there's maybe a scene or place here and they were like, oh, somebody might say that's a little oversaturated. But that's okay because for two reasons. Because the honest truth is most homeowners want to have a little bit more color and they want to have a little bit more brightness. So it's nice that the projector has that ability. But the projector also has ISF certification. So for anybody who is a videophile, they know that this can be perfectly calibrated to give you accurate colors across the board.
Well, and if you turn on filmmaker's mode, it's going to disable all the other kind of like little post-processing and little different things, motion smoothing, whatnot, color, to recreate accurately what the filmmaker's intent was.
Yeah.
And that is a nice option to have. The colors on this really are vibrant right out of the box, and I have to think that is because of the RGB laser.
Right? Oh, absolutely.
It's having the primary colors of light in there, red, blue, and green, with the brightness of a laser, is enabling this to recreate those some stunning visuals.
Well, absolutely. Well, and then also we're using the high-end, high-gain screen.
Yes.
So it's a very bright screen, and so out of the box, it's not only going to look bright and vibrant, but that's going to amplify that. So that goes back to why it's nice that the projector can do that, because if I have a matte or even a negative gain screen, it's still going to give me that great picture once all the settings are correct. So it's pretty cool.
Last word on this. Would you put this in your own home?
Oh, absolutely.
Now this also has, we've mentioned all the different features. It also works with Control 4. So would you, as a custom home theater and custom smart home designer and installer, would you recommend this for a client?
Yes, absolutely. Wow. And it's interesting because when we go to the trade shows and we started seeing all these, hey, we have Google TV built in, and you talk to people, they're like, no, actually it's super limited. We don't have an app, and you have to use this little remote that'll get lost. But on the back of the projector, there's actually a place that you can hook up a little IR emitter, which means any control system can control it. But even better, it's got the network, and Control 4 can control it via the network. I'm sure I haven't vetted it, but I'm sure other control systems will be able to too. So unlike a lot of the systems that didn't even think about that or care about that, they put a lot of thought and effort into this. And it's a system that you can control and integrate and play nice with everything in a professionally installed home theater system.
Well, people who are unfamiliar with Control 4, it is a premium home control system. So you're talking about a universal remote, but also you could tie in your light switches, shades, everything. The entire room could be fully automated using Control 4. And then you'd run it off either the handheld remote or via voice control or from the app on your phone.
Yep. And the cool thing about it is, so it kind of covers all three parts of the spectrum. It covers high-end control systems like Control 4. You also have a really nice remote that anybody can use and it's nice because it's a simple remote.
And did you see engineering sample?
Thank you for the sample.
I love that.
But it's a nice remote. It feels good in your hand. It does have a backlight that comes on after you press a key. It's a nice, easy to use remote that does everything. It does the volume, it turns it on, and it runs through your Google, your Netflix, all the Google Home stuff.